Well, hey, group leaders, one of the things we may come across within our groups is if someone should pursue counseling, and how do you know when to help make that call? And one principle that is helpful for me before we get into some of those specific questions is, John, you've talked a little bit about the difference between the rear view mirror and the dash, and how what's the difference there, and could you explain that principle a little further?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when I'm talking to people, you know, they're having something that they seem to be running away from. You know, there's a problem they want to avoid, and I usually talk to them in terms of it's better to go toward the good. As a principle, it's better to go toward the good than avoid the bad. Now, there are always things in our life that we want to get away from. You know, maybe there's been abuse, maybe there's all that kind of stuff. But it's better to go toward the good. What am I drawn toward? That gives us more energy. You know, running away from the dog, you end up getting de-energized. So looking through the windshield is what I talk about. You know, go toward that good thing. Now, once in a while, you have to check the rearview mirror. You know, that's healthy and helpful. But most of the time, you're looking through the windshield. So most of the time, you're looking toward what is God drawing me toward. That gives us energy.
And I think that should really be the culture of our groups. What are we moving towards? Focusing on the good. You know, it's the difference between focusing on my sin or Christ's righteousness. And whatever we magnify, whatever we focus on will be magnified. But then perhaps we get into that time where maybe there is something in the rear view that should be dealt with. So can you help us know when would be a time to encourage someone to pursue a more trained counselor?
Yeah, I mean, if something's getting in the way, I always ask people, you know, is this getting in the way for you? And if it's getting in the way, then you need to do something about it. You know, talking to a friend, talking to somebody else in the group is hugely helpful. But sometimes there are some, like, past abuse issues, for example, that may be very complicated, that really need a more professional approach. And so giving people the permission to do that and the encouragement to do that, and I think the best way to do that for a lot of people, we see Mike Slaughter do it all the time. He says, hey, Carolyn and I went to counseling a couple of times. It was good for us. It was a healthy thing. You know, so I think that kind of encouragement of personal relationship, personal experience is hugely helpful.
Yeah. So on that, what would be some red flags in someone's marriage to where you might encourage a couple to pursue counseling?
One of the things I talk about in couples is, you know, you always need to expect and assume the best motives of your partner. And if that's the case, you're generally going to be pretty healthy. Not that our partners don't let us down once in a while, but I know my wife has my best interest at stake, and she knows that I have hers at stake. But you know, when you see one person, one of the couple, saying bad things about the other person in public, you know, saying some negative things, that is one of the rules, I think, is you never say anything bad about your partner to somebody else. You just don't,
good.
you know?
That's
And so when you see that, that can be a red flag.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so if you were to say that to someone, do you have any specific pointers on how to best say that in love?
Yeah, well, you know, again, a personal experience is helpful. Like, you know, I've gone through some stuff myself, and what I have found is this is helpful, that kind of thing. So taking personal ownership first, but, you know, having the courage to speak that truth to that person and say, hey, brother, you know, it looks like you're struggling a bit, you know, and I want to help you. Is a great way to approach.
That's good. So some of the things I heard there were if something from the past is blocking the present, if it's getting in the way, if it keeps coming up, if you're seeing someone talk negatively about their spouse, any other just red flags that might be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, changes in mood, you know, like, you know, gosh, somebody's getting irritable and angry, and you're kind of noticing that, or maybe more withdrawn, you know, those are things that might be signs of depression. You might want to take a look at that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, John. You know, as life group leaders, you are our frontline pastors in the church, and so we want you to feel equipped and empowered here. And if you're within Dayton at all, I highly recommend New Creation Counseling, where John has served as the director for over 20 years as the next action step. So, John, thank you so much for your time.
Great.